Ladies and gentlemen, I hope the quality of the sound is good. You can see me clearly, you can hear me clearly, because last time we had some issues in the transmission. So I will wait for your confirmation that everything is fine, and then I can proceed. Okay, I see that all good, so we're set to go. But before we begin, I'd like to just make a quick disclaimer. This free webinar is intended purely for informational and educational purposes. The content we are sharing today is based on our professional experience in the Swiss legal and financial market, but it does not constitute legal, tax, or investment advice. Every case is different, and the rules, the requirements may vary depending on your specific background, jurisdiction, and business structure. If you're considering setting up a company or opening a bank account in Switzerland, we strongly recommend that you schedule a personalized consultation with either me or one of my colleagues. It's going to be a free 15-minute consultation, and you will find the link to book the consultation in the chat. With that said, let's get started. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time and joining today's webinar with me. My name is Adam Abdellawi, and I am a counsel at Goldblum & Partners. This webinar is a great initiative from our law firm. We can be talking about important topics today, and to simplify the information that you will get about opening the bank accounts in Switzerland and the compliance and the full regulatory system in Switzerland. I know that there are a lot of informations online. Sometimes you don't know who to listen to, how to get these informations, but today you will hear it from I'm an expert in this field, and this is all the information that you need. This is a free webinar, so all you need is to grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and then just enjoy for the next 30 minutes the entire webinar. So today I'll walk you through how Swiss banks work, what to expect when applying, especially as a non-resident or international investor, the crypto structures and account options, how we support clients from company formation to banking to long-term compliance. And at the end of the session, of course, we'll have a few minutes for Q&A where you can ask all the questions that you want, and we'll make sure to answer them. Now, before diving deep into the substance of the webinar, I'll be talking about who we are. So Goldblum & Partners is a boutique Swiss law firm that is headquartered in two strategic cantons, the canton of Zurich and the canton of Zug. With over 18 years of experience serving international clients, our firm is deeply specialized in Swiss company formation, from the GmbH, the Société Anonyme, and the branches. We do also the banking coordination and account opening for corporate and private structures. We deal with the regulatory compliance, including the SECO labor licensing, the anti-money laundering requirements, and as well as the crypto regulatory advisory, token structuring, and the ASRO onboarding. The crypto-related matters is mainly because we are based in the canton of Zug, and canton of Zug is basically a hub, crypto hub. So we do also the accounting, the tax compliance and corporate governance, and we have proudly assisted clients from over 60 countries across Europe, the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and the Americas as well. Ranging from entrepreneurs to high net worth individuals to multinational groups, crypto funds, regulated platforms. Our multilingual team speaks several languages, so if your case requires you to communicate to us in English, we'll do it. If you need French, we will also do it. German as well, Arabic, Russian, Ukrainian, and many more other languages, allowing us to work closely and efficiently with clients from diverse backgrounds. This is a big plus, I believe. We are not just a formation agent, but we do act as a long-term legal and strategic partner, ensuring every structure that we set up is compliant, so bankable and sustainable. So whether for traditional operations or cutting-edge ventures in fintech or digital assets, Switzerland remains one of the world's most respected banking jurisdictions, and that reputation relies on three core pillars, I believe. Now, when we talk about the Swiss banking overview, we're talking about Switzerland as a political neutral country. So it's a long-standing neutrally and global diplomatic stance, makes it a safe haven for the capital and business operations, as well as the legal certainty and infrastructure. The Swiss legal system offers high level of contract security, investor protection, and sophisticated infrastructure, and for both local and international companies, of course. There is also some clear regulations under FINMA, which is the Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority, and it's a highly respected regulator here in Switzerland. It ensures that the Swiss banks, and as well as the financial institutions, they follow some strict compliance and some anti-money laundering procedures. We also support innovation through a clear and transparent framework. This is what FINMA does. So now it's essential to understand something, that the Swiss banks are conservative by nature. They are not some kind of a neobank or something. Each client application is reviewed individually, with careful analysis of the source of the funds, business activity, and compliance history. Even high net worth individuals can be turned away if their justification for opening an account isn't strong or transparent enough. Now, this is something that I hear quite often. If I deposit this amount of money, can I get this or that or this? No, this is not always true or necessarily true, like I said. And if any person guarantees you that they can open a Swiss bank account, it sounds like a scam, and probably it is a scam. Now, another key feature is SE Swiss, the deposit protection scheme. It actually guarantees up to 100,000 per person, per bank, Swiss francs, of course, in case of a bank failure, offering some kind of additional safety and security layer and confidence for private and corporate clients. Now let's briefly look at the main categories of the bank institutions in Switzerland, because I get this a lot. So the first one is the universal banks. These include the big names like UBS, like Credit Suisse, for example, which is now merged under the UBS, and Raiffeisen. They provide a full range of services for private clients, businesses, and large institutions. The second type of the banks we do have is the cantonal banks. Examples like the Zuger Cantonal Bank or the Cantonal Bank in Zurich. These are partially state-owned with strong ties to their local cantons. They're known for being stable and relatively accessible to especially the Swiss residents and businesses with local operations. The third type is the private banks, which is the boutique banks like UBP, for example, Marchi Bowman or Banque Hammer. They specialize in private wealth. So it's more like structured investment vehicles and more complex setups, such as holding companies, crypto firms, and they offer personal service but have very strict onboarding conditions, and they often require a minimum deposit between $500,000 and 2 to 3 million depending on the client's profile. Now, the fintechs and the crypto-friendly institutions, they do exist in Switzerland, and it's actually one of the fewest countries around Europe and the world where crypto is accepted and well worked with. Newer players like Klarpay or Amina Bank and Relayo, they cater to digital businesses, the e-commerce platforms and crypto firms. These institutions often provide modern APIs, faster onboarding, and more flexible interfaces. But each has its own limitations depending on the client's nationality, business model, or volume expectations. Now, a critical note on post-finance, because I get this a lot about the post-finance. Yes, can we open a bank account in post-finance, etc. Many people ask about it, as it's often visible in Switzerland and offers personal and business accounts. That's true, that's completely true. But however, it's important, please, to note that post-finance is not a licensed bank under FINMA. It is a financial service entity that is owned by the Swiss Post, and it can offer you actually domestic accounts. It's very limited when it comes to cross-border transactions, for example, to serving foreign directors or shareholders, or to work with crypto, digital services, or international marketplaces. So basically, let's sum it up like this. If your business is international or operates in a regulated or high-risk sector, post-finance is unlikely to be a suitable option. Let's now look at the types of the bank accounts after we saw what kind of banks we do have in Switzerland. And more importantly, what conditions apply, especially for the people who are watching and more likely are non-residents, foreign-owned companies or clients in digital or crypto sectors. Now, the personal accounts for the non-residents, it goes like this. Opening a private account in Switzerland as a non-resident is possible, but it's no longer a straightforward process like it was a couple of years ago, Banks today follow a risk-based approach and are extremely selective, particularly for high-risk jurisdictions or passive account holders. So for example, UBP, which is Union Bancaire Privée, is one of the private banks that is open to onboarding foreign individuals, but only for wealth management clients. So if you're willing to proceed and give and let them deal with your money or manage it somehow, then yes, they will accept you. These accounts are for clients who are looking to place assets under management. Something else, they will not accept. And typically in the multi-million range, so small sums, they will generally say no. And people who are seeking some discrete portfolio services or structured investment opportunities. The second bank is for Marchi Baumann, which is another well-known private bank in Zurich, for example, and it caters to ultra-high net worth individuals. It's crypto-friendly in principle, but applies a strong due diligence process and doesn't onboard ultimate beneficial owners from certain jurisdictions like India, Russia, and some other countries. Now let's talk about the Zurich Cantonal Bank, or Postfinance, as you like to call it, a bank which is actually not a real bank. It's the more conservative and mostly catered to Swiss residents, like the name of it, because it's a cantonal bank, which technically, while technically accessible, they generally do not open accounts for non-residents unless there is a local substance. For example, if the person has a Swiss company, address, or business operations within the country. And this is, by the way, something that we can offer, and I will be discussing this later on during the webinar. Across all banks, the documentation required includes your passport, like proof of address, clear source of funds declaration, and in some cases a business plan, because this can help show the bank how you plan to grow and how you plan to extend your business in the future, particularly if the account will be used for project-related or entrepreneurial activities. Now let's talk about the capital deposit accounts. These are special purpose accounts used strictly for the incorporation of Swiss companies. Whether you're establishing a GmbH, which is the equivalent of an LLC, which requires around 20,000 Swiss francs in capital, or a Société Anonyme, which requires 100,000 Swiss francs, the capital must be deposited into a blocked account before you can register the company with the commercial registry. So several banks provide this service, from the Zuger Cantonal Bank, known for being efficient and friendly, to startups, to private banks like Marchi, for example, or even institutions like CIM Bank, which may allow sometimes this capital deposit only if you plan to continue with them for corporate banking. Now, the process is simple. Once the deposit is made and verified, a capital confirmation letter is issued, which the notary uses for registration. And once your company is officially incorporated, the funds are released into your new corporate account and the capital deposit account is closed. However, sometimes caution must be taken, because some banks reject incoming wires if the sender name doesn't exactly match the declared shareholder, or if some kind of documentation is incomplete. Now, let's talk a little bit about the corporate bank accounts, because the corporate bank account is something that I get quite often. Once your Swiss company is incorporated, an operational corporate account is essential. This is where your business will run, receiving payments, making transactions, managing payroll, etc. So the options here are varied, depending on the nature of your business, the nationality of the stakeholders, and whether you operate in traditional sectors or regulated fields like crypto. Let's look at some few examples. For example, we do have the Marchi Baumann is one of the most more like open banks for crypto or some tech-driven companies that are willing to onboard Swiss entities with international UBOs, providing the activity is well documented and compliant. So they perform a detailed pre-review and work closely with regulated structures. However, they have some clear exclusions, like if you're an Indian ultimate beneficial owner, for example, they're generally not accepted. Now, UBS, I hear this a lot. Can we open an account in UBS? Can we get an account with UBS? Yes, but UBS remains selective. It's indeed a prestigious option. They require real business substance, such as a local address, Swiss employees, active revenue generation, some passive holding companies or foreign-owned shell companies, they're somehow unlikely to be accepted, but under some certain circumstances they can. Now, the Zurcher Cantonal Bank is considered startup friendly, and they generally review files within a couple of business days, and they are responsive to well-prepared applications, especially if you have a real business model and Swiss connection. PostFinance, like I already said, while they are widely used in Switzerland, it's not a FINMA licensed bank. It's owned by Swiss Post and mainly supports domestic transactions. If your company engages in crypto, advisory, or international commerce, PostFinance will not support your account. That's something for sure. For fintechs, options like Klarpay are increasingly popular, particularly for e-commerce, digital payments, marketplaces. Likewise, Amina Bank is also tailored for crypto operations. They offer some digital asset custody and fiat support. They provided like the company meets the stringent requirements. Now, the key conditions across, in my experience, like there are some key conditions across all banks. They all agree on something apparently. So across the board, there are a few universal conditions that you, as a person who is willing to open a bank in Switzerland, you need to be aware of. There are some blacklisted or high risk jurisdictions that are excluded by many banks. Some of them, they do not accept the UBOs from the US, from India, from Russia, or some offshore vehicles like St. Kitts Nevis, Seychelles, Belize, etc. The UBOs and the director information must be clear and verifiable. Some nominee structures or unclear ownership trades are often rejected. Now, Swiss substance matters the more. The more Swiss your company looks, meaning local address, a Swiss director, an office, or real business, the better your chances of opening an account. Most importantly, banks with a clear economic rationale. Why do you need a Swiss account? What will you use it for? Where did the funds come from? Can you show clean documentation? If these answers are solid, onboarding is definitely possible. Crypto in the Swiss banking context, because this is something also that we definitely have to discuss once we're talking about the bank account openings. Now, Switzerland stands out as one of the few jurisdictions in the world where crypto and blockchain related businesses can operate with a clear, bankable, and compliant environment, provided that proper structuring, documentation, and transparency are in place. Several Swiss financial institutions, including Maerki, Baumann, Amina Bank, and Signum, for example, are licensed under FINMA, the Swiss financial regulator. So these banks are not only compliant with international AML standards, but also actively offer crypto-friendly banking. They provide services such as custody solution for digital assets. They provide also the hybrid multi-currency accounts, the fiat plus the crypto support, the transaction monitoring, and linkage services, integration via platforms like Metaco, Fireblocks, or Copper. However, despite their openness, crypto clients face a much higher compliance bar than traditional businesses. But let's clarify the expectations, okay? The source of the funds must be clearly traceable. If your capital originates from crypto holdings, banks will require you to produce a full wallet history, sometimes going back even years to just prove them where the funds are coming from, showing how the assets were acquired, transferred, and valued. So the second point is wallets must be connected to you or your company. Anonymous wallets or funds flowing through privacy chains or mixers will trigger immediate rejection. Some banks require blockchain, forensics reports like the analysis as part of the onboarding. If you're running a crypto project, you'll need a strong legal structure, ideally like a Swiss GmbH or AG, a clear and audited tokenomics, if applicable, a clear business plan as well, some tech documentation, and regulatory classification like utility versus the security model, and some declared compliance officer if your model includes wallet management or on-chain transactions. If that's the case, you'll find that the Swiss financial environment is not just crypto-friendly, it's one of the most secure and long-term viable jurisdiction for digital asset businesses in the world. Now, after explaining these things, what can we do as Goldblum and Partners? So how Goldblum and Partners support you? We handle the entire legal, banking and compliance setup, Swiss company incorporation, and the deposit account coordination, the direct communication with banks to ensure the file is well prepared, identification of suitable banks based on your activity or jurisdiction, and not only this, but we do the support with crypto licensing if needed, especially in the canton of Zug. Apart from all of these things, we can also support you with the ongoing accounting and the compliance services. Now, we're not gonna only send you 5 to 10 banks, but we present it properly with a strategic introduction, vetting that all banks will more likely be accepting your profile. So those are the certain aspects that we've been discussing, and this is how Goldblum and Partners can assist you with. So if you do feel the need to book a meeting to discuss your case in a more appropriate way, so we can dive deeper into the details, you will find my link to booking a meeting with me for like a 15-minute free consultation, where you can be discussing the aspects and the details of your own case, because please be aware that each and every case is reviewed individually. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was it about the webinar. Now let's move forward about the Q&A session. So I will be reading some of the questions that I received on the chat, and let's start with the first one. Can I open a Swiss bank account? Yes, but it depends on the bank. Most private banks require a physical presence or some relationship manager meeting. Some fintechs might onboard remotely, but with some strict KYC procedures. That's the short answer, but each case depends. Generally, from our experience, most of our clients were able to open the bank account remotely. Second question, it's what's the minimum amount required to open a Swiss bank account? Okay, this question, it varies. Private banks typically ask for about 500,000 Swiss franc to 2 million Swiss franc. Cantonal and fintech banks may have lower requirements, but there's often limited to residents or local businesses. Okay, third question. Can I open a Swiss business without visiting Switzerland? Yes, company formation can be done remotely with notarized documents and POA, which is the power of attorney. We assist clients throughout the remote process. How long does it take? How long does it take to open a corporate bank account? Typically, from our experience, it takes between 2 to 6 weeks, depending on the bank, the company structure, the client profile. Is it crypto-related companies? Sometimes they might face longer onboarding times. Like I said, in order for us to give specific answer to your case, it's better to book like a personalized consultation where we can answer specifically about your case, because each case is different. Can a foreigner be the owner of the Swiss company? Okay, if I understood the question well, can you be as a foreigner the only somehow sole owner or director of the Swiss company? Yes. But the regulatory compliance, most companies, they require at least one Swiss resident signatory. And by the way, we do also provide nominee director services if needed. Is it possible to open a holding account for the company? Yes, but again, under clear regulatory frameworks, banks like Amina, for example, and Maerki, they serve crypto clients, but with full transparency. You have to have traceable funds and regulated operations. It's a must. Can you help with the SECO licenses and the VAT registration? Of course, yes, absolutely. We assist clients with SECO licenses for staffing agencies, full VAT registration, and filing services. We have received many inquiries recently about staffing agencies who want to operate in the Swiss market, and in order to operate in the Swiss market, you need to have a SECO license, and we do have big experience in doing this. Okay. Oh, I see a question about the taxes. What are the tax rates in Switzerland? It's a very good question. The tax rates, it depends on the canton. For example, Zug is the lowest canton in all of them, and it offers one of the lowest effective tax rates. It starts around 11.9, 12%. Zurich, it's slightly higher, and the more you go into the other cantons, it's higher and higher. It starts from 12 to 20%. Okay, let's see another question. Maybe this is the last one, and then we'll have to end the webinar. Okay. So, what are the documents needed to open a Swiss bank account? Okay, it's also a good question. So basically, what you need is a passport, proof of address, source of funds, some company documents if it's a corporate bank account, and like I said previously during the webinar, in some cases you also require a business plan. This will strengthen your application to open the bank account. So ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining today's webinar. It was a pleasure having you, and hopefully to see you in another free webinar next time about some different topic, or to see you in the one-to-one booking that you can book a consultation with me. And thank you for your time.